The Indian diaspora in the US has come to the forefront in recent years, most evidently with Kamala Harris, who's now the Democrat face in the US presidential election. So to discuss the impact and the significance of the Indian diaspora in the United States, whether it comes to public service or technology or innovation, we have with us an esteemed panel of guests. So my first question to you is that, the report that Indiaspora has released has said that, 1.5% of the US population comprises of the Indian diaspora. So how crucial is the Indian diaspora vote in this upcoming election?
I don't live in the US, but my impression from all that I know is that the Indian diaspora in the US punches way above its weight. So in absolute numbers, the vote may not be significant, but its ability to make an impact, to make financial contributions, to influence opinion is quite high.
No, I definitely think the impact also on the vote bank is significant because 1.5% in a country where the movement of votes between the two parties is nominal is an important stakeholder. But more importantly, as Sanjeev rightly mentioned, that the Indian American community contributes about 5 to 6% of U.S. taxes. An average Indian American earns twice as much as an average American in the U.S. So many factors that enables the Indian Americans to really operate from a position of strength is something that will also be a very important part here. And political leadership also has a lot of Indian American strength, as you rightly mentioned. So yeah, I think it's a good time to be an Indian American and participate in the elections there.
Right. So many have called the India-US relationship the relationship of this decade. But when it comes to the economic side of this relationship, we're still a ways away when it comes to an FTA between the two countries. So what do you think is, hindering this? And what do you think is some of the spaces of potential growth in this relationship?
Look, the trade between India and US is still one of the biggest trade corridors for India. It's $100 billion excess of trade between both export and import added up. As we look at the future trade models, and as BCG we project out till 2030 and beyond, we see a few corridors of big growth, and India-US is one of those big corridors of growth. I think one of the things the report calls out is boundless horizons. I deeply believe in the fact that we're just getting started. The possibilities across some of the biggest changes happening in the world, the area of technology and AI, which already we have a great head start on innovation, but also on climate and sustainability is enormous. So I do feel there's a very bright future ahead on this.
Right, and in terms of policy, we're seeing that what do you think are some spaces of policy change that can, further support this relationship in terms of growing it across various sectors, whether it comes to tech, innovation?
Yeah, I think policy needs to change on both sides, and that's where the diaspora can help, because we have so many Indian Americans in the administration on the US side, and so they understand India in a way that other people cannot understand. So I think both sides need to ease the friction between the two countries, whether it's India being able to do work in the US, i.e. in the immigration side and H-1B and all that stuff, or the US companies being able to operate in India. That also has to have the ease of business, increase in India as well. So I think it's on the right track. Like Neeraj said, the growth is enormous. It can easily grow to 500 billion in a decade or two. So I'm very optimistic of that.
Right, and my last question is regarding the US economy. We're seeing that, there's been talks that there are fears that the US economy is in some sort of a slowdown and the jobs market is not doing particularly well. But in terms of looking at it simply from the diaspora perspective, do you think there's a sort of fear of a reverse migration where a diaspora might be returning back to India, or do you think there's still optimism within the diaspora?
Yeah, I think in terms of the diaspora, there could be a slowdown. Again, it's not apparent yet. But on the other hand, most of the diaspora is well educated. Most of the diaspora are in good companies and in good professions. So I don't know if necessarily they'll be as impacted with a potential slowdown in the US. So I don't think that's going to be as big a deal. But again, as India continues to grow, there will certainly be some reverse migration of people due to family reasons or wanting to go back home. That can happen as well. So I think that would be more the cause than a slowdown itself.
So, I represent a third generation diaspora group that left India. My grandfather left in the 1930s. I came back a decade ago to build for our group, our future growth out of India. Right, and we've been building multiple businesses, leveraging India's strength of young people, technology, and new age, solutions to old age problems. And I think there is going to be a significant shift. I see a lot of companies, a lot of global diaspora people, at least using India as a base to get started, but many of them actually making it more significant as they move forward. So yeah, I'm optimistic about that opportunity that connects at least US, India, and many other countries to India for the future.
I also have some perspective. Look, I think this era of one-time migration from one part of the world to the other is an old way of thinking. I think in this new way of thinking, people have multiple careers, and I know of many people who've done this back and forth multiple times. So I don't even know what do you classify. They're global citizens, and I think it's wonderful, actually. It's wonderful because the world has to become a melting pot, and there's a lot to learn from each other. So I see we are entering more and more of that era, and I could not be more excited about it. Yeah.
Right. Would you like to? So my last question is actually about the foreign minister's comments during the event today. He said he kind of gave a grim forecast when it comes to the future of the world in the next 5 years. So how do you view his comments?
No, I mean, we were interacting with him. I think what he outlined is the complexity in the world today. And I think, therefore, the predictability of a world, which has become even harder for whether it is a political leadership, whether it's business, whether it's citizens. You can see there's movement in technology that is disruptive. There is, political, areas that are different. We have wars going on in the world. So it is a tough time to navigate, and I think he highlighted that. But in the midst of that, I think India playing its crucial role, India, US playing their role becomes even more critical. So I think at the end he did say I'm an optimist. So I think, challenges create opportunities, and I think that's the way we should view the world.
Yes, because he did mention that this is where the India-US relationship has that chance to grow and it becomes even more important. So how do you see that? Why do you think it becomes so important?
No, I think two of the world's most important and largest democracies, if they work together, and India being possibly the only stable democracy in this region, it's very important that India plays its part and ensures that there's stability.
We had the post of Bretton Woods Agreement, we had the G7 and other, forums come in play. I think the world of tomorrow needs a bit of a global South and a Western kind of a collaboration. And on that dimension as well, this can be a phenomenal template for the world to emulate and learn a lot from as well.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us at NDTV.